Lovely little bird sent me an email and said, Friendless has got a new song out. It's Left to Right featuring Bianca. So I said, I want to talk to this person. And here he is right here. It's Friendless. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thanks for having me on, man.
Vocal house groove. I guess that's what sort of niche it sits in, or would you argue vehemently against that?
Not at all. I would never argue with what my delightful publicist likes to say about my music, and she's bang on about this one. It is. Well, it's funny because like writing this track, I really wanted to get a good balance between something that's playable and danceable and something that's also listenable, because, you know, such is the way of the streaming generation. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So it's always that little tightrope walk we're walking at the moment. So yeah, it's a vocal house groover suits me fine.
It's got a few hooks in there, but one of the most noticeable ones are little pops at the top. Boo, 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 boo. So much fun.
Yeah, you like them? Yeah, I had so much fun with this track because the groove of the riff obviously is quite simple and very house music. It's very like repetitive, right? So once we'd written the song, when me and Bianca had sit down and written the actual vocal as well, it was all about just putting as much little fun and interesting little weird kind of sound designy bits in there. So there's lots of little Easter eggs or ear candy rather floating about. So that was super fun.
Yeah, it's a real banger. And did you reach out to Bianca, or did you guys want to do something together for a while?
It's one of those things where we've operated in the same kind of sphere for years, but never had a tune together for some reason. It was literally one of those conversations. We're doing a gig together on one of the boats in Sydney Harbour, and it's like, why the insert expletive here? Have we not done a song together? And we were both extremely tipsy at the time. And it was funny, actually. So we put in a date for the Tuesday following, and I got a message from Bianca in the morning saying, I don't really remember, but I've got in a diary that we've got a session today. And I was like, yeah, so do I. And so I was like, she came into the studio, and the next is history. And she's so good. Like, I think we wrote the song together in about 3 or 4 hours, and that was it. You know?
Did you co-wrote everything or just the lyrics?
Well, I had an instrumental existing. She loved it, and Bianca's an extremely good writer. So I would have to honestly say the top line would be 80 to 90% her, and I just sort of bounced a few ideas back off her. Like, she's one of those people that doesn't need your help to write, you know. So it was purely just more a collaborative thing. I think I had the idea for the repetitive hook in the drop, the left to right thing, and then everything else was Bianca. And she's brilliant.
I imagine a lot of new people are going to come to this interview wondering about Friendless. Do you want to give us the little nutshell, your life in a nutshell?
Okay, well, my personal life, I started playing in bands as a teenager. I was signed in a punk band, and then I sort of got forced into dance music after being a singer-songwriter for a amount of years by a lot of friends of mine who were DJs that started asking me to write top lines for them. And then I started producing myself about 11 years ago now. And then I started Friendless as an antithesis to the EDM fiasco, which became very tired very quickly for me as an artist. And I wanted to do something a bit weird and left to center. So I started this little alias called Friendless, and in about 2015 now, and I've just been releasing records with Be Rich and various other labels around the world since, and that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's great, mate. And what bugs you about EDM? What gets on your breasts?
I don't think it was like, because I really appreciated it, and as a songwriter, it afforded me so much. Creative outlet, and so many great collaborations, so many great gigs, so many great opportunities. But like anything that reaches critical mass, it just gets very overwhelming. You know what I mean? And it became like a dot-com boom, but for music, and people were throwing ridiculous amounts of money at DJs, and it really sort of it was equal parts brilliant and unsustainable. I think. And I think as an artist, I got a little bit sick of, as a songwriter, it was very much write a deep and meaningful kind of verse and then have an uplifting pre-chorus that talks like vaguely about something uplifting and hands in the air, and then drop into something really epic and then repeat. And I think it just became a little unfulfilling for me. Not to say that it didn't do its job, and it's, you know, it works, but yeah, I think I just wanted something a bit more challenging to my eardrums.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was about 10 years ago, I think I started seeing very tall stages with a very many thousands of kids underneath, and thinking, you know, wow, EDM is really going over the top now. Do you think it's pulled back a little bit, or is it still at that threshold?
I think it's, and as I said, I qualify what I said, it's like I don't want to speak ill of it, because I think that just informed my artistic direction. But it really did bring dance music to the fore of popular culture. You know what I mean? So it's like when it comes to pop music now, you've got hip hop and R&B, and dance music is sort of the driving forces behind all of the biggest selling artists in the world now. So you can't fault it for what it did there. You know what I mean? But yeah, it definitely did. Yeah, I think it's like anything though, when there's money to be made and there's a lot of people doing things for when the business, which is very important, becomes more important than the artistic output. I think that's where it sort of gets a bit trying, even though, you know, it's reality. You know?
Well, you like to be a bit left of centre. That's perfect.
I do. I think that's it. I think I've just got this desire to sort of be to push against things.
You know who else is a bit like that? Flume.
Yeah. Oh God, what a brilliant man.
Never two songs the same.
No. Yeah, and the new things are very different for him, isn't it? It's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
It's really cool.
It's really good.
It's refreshing too, I think, because it's like we're an artist that's been that influential and brought a sound, such a specific sound to the fore. It's like everyone expects him to do something that's really quirky, weird, and always like jilted. So for him to do something that's got more of just a groove throughout is like really refreshing. You know, it's really cool. And I think obviously that's quite a conscious decision for him, you know?
Yeah, you can never guess what he's going to do next. How about a little bit on songwriting in the studio? Like young artists will be thinking, okay, I'm sitting in front of my computer. The sonic world is my oyster. You know, there's so many hundreds and thousands of do you start off with a beat, or do you start off with a melody, or?
Well, yeah, God, I can crap on for ages about this very topic. It's a very good question because of how accessible it is to make music now. Like, you know, especially if you've got the skills, you got, you know, the MacBook I'm talking on, I can do everything from inside this box with a pair of headphones if I want. And I think it's really easy because in lockdown, right, I had so much time on my hands and I thought, oh, wow, I'm going to be so prolific. I'm going to do so much stuff. And I did, but a lot of it was just like it's just wasting away on my hard drive. And I find, especially when I sit down with another artist now, it's one of the most important things to do is like, as soon as we get in, we'll put our stuff in the studio and I'll go, let's go and grab a coffee if it's later in the day, maybe a beer, and literally do pre-production, but talking about and try and conceptualize exactly what we want to achieve and almost give ourselves a set of parameters to work within, because you can literally go from, you know, you can go off on a tangent so easily, which is fun, but I think it's the role of a producer now, not to just be a beat maker and a songwriter, but to really conceptualize a concept. And of course, you conceptualize a concept and try and realize a vision and sit down and set your mind to that. I think that's sort of really important. Like back in the day when bands would get into a rehearsal studio and do pre-production for a month, you know, because everything's a lot more streamlined, even just a conversation over a meal or a coffee about what you want to achieve is almost as important as what snare drum you're going to pick when you get in there. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's a real age of the producers. I'm sure anyone who's got, hey, I think this is a hit song, and then other people might agree, and then almost the next question is who's going to produce it.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's like going back to the 60s. Nothing really much got done. Oh, no, that's a long, long time ago. But
it's funny, because people conflate the idea of a producer or like an artist with like what the traditional role was, where it's just like, you've got an idea and the producer needs to bring that to market in something that's palatable and sonically sound for the audience to listen to. So yeah, it's really nice to have that kind of a holistic approach now, given you can get onto Splice and put together a looped idea of a song that sounds finished in no time at all. But to make something that stands out, you really need to have a really good strong concept, whether that's derived from like one sort of vocal idea, one sort of melodic hook, one even just a quirky kind of rhythm,
Yes, songwriting is fun. And I wanted to ask you a funny question. You've got on the art of left to right, you've got hieroglyphics around it. I just wondered, did that spell out anything like Born to Party or anything?
Yeah, I have no idea. You'd have to ask Dugong Jr. what that actually says. And in fact, I've never really thought to bother it because, I'm an ear aesthetic man. And I just trust him implicitly, and he sends me that thing. And I'm like, "Oh, that looks cool." I'm really
I thought it might be something.
I should have really just made something up,
No, that's all right.
Like some sort of Graham Bass, like hidden message.
Yeah, I thought it might be something fun. So that's all right. Well, what's coming up next, gigs wise, releases wise, through to Christmas?
Okay, a couple of boat parties. I'm playing at a new club called Label at the end of this month, which is exciting. That's going to be the beginning of something which will hopefully be a residency. I'm going to be doing a tour down to Melbourne and up to Brisbane in April and May, I think. And I'm releasing a 5-track EP in a similar time frame, I think, at the end of March.
And
that's all for now.
What's the best socials to catch you on? I've just followed you on Instagram.
I think Instagram's the best. I mean, Facebook's sort of useless these days. And I have a very basic platform on TikTok, but it's not really my forte. So Instagram, Friendless Official, and of course Spotify, so you can get my streaming numbers ramped, and on Slice Radio.
Yeah. We're playing you like crazy over here.
Oh, you're a legend.
And just a reminder, Left to Right featuring Bianca is the single that you've purchase it if you want. We don't care, but definitely listen to it.
Yes, do it.
All those 200.
And listen to it again after you've listened to it.
Just leave it running. That's
just leave it. Yeah, put it on repeat. Just leave it running.
Thanks so much, Friendless. We'll see you another day.
Thank you so much for having me on, Dan.